Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fish Tank. Great to have you here. We are going to be looking at the alternative master perk for Mordar today. If you've been following along in our little series, we're going through the different alternative perks that are coming for the different masters in version 2.6. The series started with an overview of all the different ones, so if you missed that, make sure you go back and check that out. We'll put a link up here somewhere. So the alternative master perks are going to be alternatives that allow you to switch the perk as the match progresses up until the point that you unlock it. So let's remind ourselves about Mordar's alternative master perk. So his is a perk 1 alternative, so instead of the normal tombstone you get the Tomb of the Deathless, and this kind of works in the same way as Rendrath. So you get the tombstone after every 30 seconds, and instead, and this is really interesting, instead of it reviving your own minions, it revives your enemy minions, but of course under your control. So just like Rendrath, when he marks something and it dies, they spawn with 50% health and damage. They spawn cursed after 5 seconds, and they deal this will deal 20% of the max HP damage to the tombstone. So remember, the tombstone can revive multiple things as long as it survives. And this of course is also reflected in the perk 3 version, where you get the Sepulchre of the Deathless, which is just basically the big version of this tombstone, which has 1,000 health. So let's have a look at this in action, and this is quite an interesting one because you've got the two different versions, either reviving your own units or reviving your enemy units, and which one you choose is likely to depend on what your opponent has. So I've kind of built a flexible deck here that's going to give us some good revives if we choose the basic version to revive our own stuff, but we can also go ahead and revive the opposing stuff if possible. The problem is, if you decide that ahead of time that you're going to use the alternative perk and revive their stuff, and then you build a deck that doesn't take into account any good revives for yourself, if you then get into the game and they're playing a very cheap swarm deck or something like that that's going to give you very little value, then you're going to be stuck with your regular tombstones giving you little value. So I think this is kind of a middle ground where you can use the regular version, or against the opponent you can use the new version. Now we're going to play a bot, so we don't know what we're going to get, so let's give it a go and see. Fingers crossed they'll have some stuff for us to res. Right, we're against Volko. As we've discussed before, there are you can choose the perk up until the moment you get it. There's no artwork for this one yet. We are just testing some things out. But we're going to switch this to Tomb of the Deathless, and that should activate at perk 1. Remember, we can change our mind anytime up to that. Right, so it's looking like we've got some good potential revives, but also some potential bad revives. So it's kind of interesting because your opponent, if you do go for the Deathless one, then your opponent does have to try to play around it, try to force bad reses and stuff like that. There's definitely some interest from both sides, depending on what you go for. Right. Okay, this new card art looks awesome. And we've got the new version there. So remember, that's going to revive enemy stuff. But unfortunately now they've got lots of small stuff out, of course. Right. So we revived a couple of those. Is there no cooldown time between it? They seem to die and revive very quickly. It's reviving everything. Is that how it's supposed to work? Not sure. We'll definitely report that to the devs, let them know. But that's how it worked. Everything was reviving. So if that's the case, then there's not really much way of playing around it with the Horde. But I'll check that out. See if we can get that clarified for you, either in the end of this video, the editing magic, or maybe in a comment. Right, so we got our next tombstone up. So just like the regular tombstone, it does take time to charge. So when we're killing something, it's definitely taking damage on the tombstone. Okay, these things are still spawning after the tombstone died, so again, something we can report back. One of the main purposes of this PTR was to test out the functionality of the new perks. So finding broken things is not necessarily a bad thing, because we can report them and fingers crossed they'll be fixed. Okay, so the two things we want to mention to the devs are the cooldown.
Blue gained the third perk.
Okay, unfortunately our perk 1 version was our next card, so we don't get the big one, but I kind of want to see what the big one looks like. So we'll try not to kill them by that time. Okay, so let's have a look. Everything gets marked and it comes back after 5 seconds. Which seems... it's going to bring back everything. That seems very strong. But remember, the stuff it brings back is only 50% health and damage. Also, it is cursed, so it will be dying, taking 3% damage every second. Oh no, we've got air units on Volko. This is bad. He's going to die to his own air units. Okay, saved himself. I just want to get the perk 3 version up so we can see that. Coming up really soon. But he's got 26 HP. This is kind of scary. Okay, we can see the big one. There we go. Okay, that thing is huge. Oh, we got it just in time. Right. Okay, so that's the alternative master perk for Mordar. I did just quickly query the couple of questions we had with the devs, and it is working as intended. So currently, no cooldown on reviving things. And things can revive after it's died because it kind of revived them before it died. But it just takes them the 5 seconds to spawn. So I'm very surprised there's no cooldown on it. That could be very, very powerful. But for sure, let me know what you think in the comments. It's not working as I was expecting. I expected there to be a cooldown as with regular ones. So quite surprised there's not, because that removes sort of the counterplay to it and could make it very strong. Interesting. Right. Let me know what you think. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. My name's Bad as a Fish, and I'll see you again soon here in the fish tank. Subscribe!